I find the vulnerability at 2:47 a.m. on a Tuesday, which is the most boring possible time to accidentally commit a federal crime. I'm running a penetration test for a small fintech client. Boring, routine, the kind of job that pays my rent, but doesn't exactly set my soul on fire. My apartment is dark, except for the triple monitor glow. There's a ramen cup going cold beside my keyboard. My cat, Cypher, is asleep on the router, which explains why my connection keeps dropping. The test is supposed to be contained. My client's network only. But there's a vulnerability chain I haven't seen before. A cascading weakness in their third-party API that piggybacks on a shared cloud infrastructure. And when I follow it, just to see where it leads, just because I can't resist pulling a thread, I land somewhere I shouldn't be. The server architecture is military grade, custom encryption layers, adaptive firewalls, the kind of security that costs more than most companies' entire IT budgets. But there's a hole, a tiny, elegant, almost invisible hole in the authentication protocol, the kind that only exists if someone put it there on purpose. A backdoor. I'm inside for 11 seconds before I realize whose system I've breached. The file headers tell me everything. Voss Industries, confidential, level 9 access. Adrian Voss, founder and CEO of Voss Industries, the largest private cybersecurity firm in the country. A man who builds the systems that protect governments, banks, and Fortune 500 companies from people like me. I just hacked the king of unhackable. My hands leave the keyboard like it's on fire. I kill the connection. I scrub my access logs, or try to, but his system is already logging my intrusion in ways I can't undo. The back door I found, it was monitored, not to keep people out, to track anyone who found their way in. I sit in the dark, my heart slamming against my ribs, and I do the math. Federal Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. Unauthorized access to a protected computer system. Up to 10 years in prison for a first offense. More if they can prove I accessed classified client data. Which I did, even if only for 11 seconds, because Voss Industries protects military contracts, government agencies, banks. I could run. I've run before. Not from the law, but from bad situations, bad landlords, bad freelance clients who didn't pay. Running is something I know how to do. But where do you run from a man who builds the systems that track people? Cypher jumps onto my lap. He purrs against my chest, oblivious to the fact that his human has just torpedoed her entire life. I hold him and I stare at the dark screens, and I wait for the knock on the door. It comes at 7:15 a.m. I haven't slept. I've spent the last 4 hours running counter-forensics on my own machine, wiping traces, rerouting my VPN history, doing everything I know how to do to make myself invisible. I'm good at this. I'm one of the best, but he's better. The knock is 3 sharp taps. I open the door because there's no point pretending I'm not home. If he found my apartment, he already knows I'm here. The hallway is dim, flickering fluorescent, stained carpet, and standing in it like he's been photoshopped into the wrong reality is a man who makes my shitty hallway look even shittier by comparison. Adrian Voss. Taller than his photos suggest. Early 30s but looks older. Not from age, from intensity. Dark blonde hair cropped close. Jaw like it was engineered in a lab. Eyes so pale blue they're almost gray. He's wearing a dark suit with no tie, an overcoat draped over his arm, and he's holding a tablet that shows my face, my name, and my alias. The one I've used for 6 years. The one no one has ever connected to my real identity. Until now. Mila Chen, he says, Not a question. I consider slamming the door. I consider running. I consider throwing Cypher at him as a distraction. Also known as SP3CTRE, he continues. Freelance penetration tester. Former MIT dropout. Currently working out of this. He glances past me at my apartment. At the monitors. The ramen cups. The cat on the router. Establishment. If you're here to arrest me, you should know I can't afford a lawyer. I'm not here to arrest you. Then what? He turns the tablet around so I can see the screen. It shows a timeline. My intrusion, mapped in real time, every keystroke recorded, every route I took through his system highlighted in red. It looks like a roadmap of my own destruction. You found a backdoor in my system that my entire security team, 47 people, combined salaries of $12 million a year, has failed to detect for 11 months, he says. You found it in 11 seconds. 14. But who's counting? Something flickers in his expression. Not quite a smile, more like the ghost of one, quickly suppressed. I have a proposition, he says. One that doesn't involve prison. He holds out a black folder. Because apparently all billionaires carry black folders with life-altering propositions in them. Is there a store? Do they buy them in bulk? I take it. The proposition is insane. But then, so is my life. Someone inside Voss Industries has been using that backdoor to siphon data, client data, security protocols, encryption keys, and selling it to competitors. The leak has been going on for 11 months. Adrian's team has been hunting the mole internally and getting nowhere because the mole is smarter than his team. He needs someone smarter than the mole. He needs me. The terms: I work inside Voss Industries for 30 days. Full access to the company's internal network, its people, its secrets. I find the mole. In exchange, Adrian wipes my intrusion from his logs, pays me $200,000, and doesn't turn me over to the FBI. Why me? I ask. We're in my kitchen now. Him sitting at my table like a suit-clad alien visiting a foreign planet. Me leaning against the counter with my arms crossed. You could hire any white-hat firm in the world. I've hired 3. They found nothing. So, you're hiring the person who broke in. I'm hiring the person who saw what no one else could see. That's either very smart or very stupid. It's desperate, he says, and the honesty of it catches me off guard. For a moment, the CEO mask drops, and what's underneath is a man who is watching his empire get picked apart from the inside, and can't stop it. 30 days, I say. 30 days. I look at Cypher, who has woken up and is staring at Adrian with the same expression I imagine I'm wearing, suspicious, curious, and mildly offended by his presence. My cat comes with me. Absolutely not. Non-negotiable. He looks at Cypher. Cypher looks at him. Something passes between them. A mutual assessment. A territorial standoff. Fine, he says. The cat comes. Voss Industries is a fortress. Glass and steel, 40 floors. The kind of building that looks like it was designed to intimidate anyone who approaches it. Security checkpoints at every floor. Biometric scans. Armed guards. And me, walking through the lobby in my hoodie and combat boots with a cat carrier in one hand. Every employee in the building staring at me like I've wandered in from a different dimension. Claire, there's always a Claire, is Adrian's chief of operations. She gives me a security badge, a workstation in a converted conference room they're calling the War Room, and a look that says she's already running background checks on my background checks. Mr. Voss has authorized your access to Level 7 network architecture, she says. Not Level 8, not Level 9. If you attempt to access restricted systems, you'll know about it before I do. Your monitoring is good. Not as good as his, but good. She stares at me. I stare back. Cypher meows. The cat stays in the war room, she says. The cat goes where I go. The cat stays in the war room. Cypher wins. He always wins. Within 3 days, he's sleeping on Claire's desk, and she's buying him organic treats from the fancy pet store across the street. She still won't admit she likes him. The war room itself is impressive. A glass-walled conference room on the 38th floor that they've retrofitted with 6 workstations, a wall of monitors, and enough processing power to launch a small satellite. My workstation faces the window, which means the city skyline is my screensaver. I've never worked above the 4th floor of anything. The altitude makes me feel like a fraud. On my first morning, I plug in my own equipment. 3 custom rigs I built myself, each one held together with zip ties and stubbornness. Next to Voss Industries' pristine machines that probably cost more than my apartment building. Claire stares at my setup the way a sommelier might stare at a box of cheap wine at a tasting. "Those are your computers?" she asks. "They're faster than anything on this floor. They have duct tape on them." Aesthetic choice. Adrian appears in the doorway. He surveys my setup, then Claire's expression, then Cypher, who has already claimed the best chair in the room, and something twitches at the corner of his mouth. "Give her whatever she needs," he tells Claire. "Whatever she asks for. No questions. Mr. Voss, the security protocols. She found a hole in our security that your protocols missed for 11 months. I think we can trust her judgment." He leaves. Claire and I stare at each other. Cypher yawns. "I'll need full packet capture logs from the last 18 months, I say. Unfiltered, and access to the deprecated systems archive. Those archives are level 8. Then I need level 8. She opens her mouth, closes it, picks up her phone. I get level 8 by lunch. The work is consuming. I dive into the network architecture, like a surgeon opening a patient. Methodical, precise, tracing data flows and access logs, and the invisible fingerprints the mole has been leaving for 11 months. Whoever they are, they're exceptional. Every trace I find dead ends into a mirror of legitimate traffic. Every breadcrumb dissolves when I look at it too closely. I work in silence, mostly. I've always worked in silence. Me and the code and the quiet hum of fans and processors. Most people find what I do boring. Hours of staring at log files, days of running traffic analysis. It's tedious work like sifting sand for a grain of gold, and most people give up long before they find anything. I never give up. That's my superpower. Not brilliance, stubbornness. But there are patterns. There are always patterns. The mole accesses the back door at irregular intervals, but always during business hours. They use a rotating set of internal credentials. Never the same one twice. And they're careful to keep the data packets small enough to avoid triggering the traffic monitors. Small enough, but not invisible. Not to me. Adrian comes to the war room every night. Not to check on my progress. Or not only that. He stands behind my chair and watches the screens, and I can feel his presence like a change in air pressure. His cologne is something sharp and clean, and it has absolutely no business being that distracting when I'm trying to trace a data leak. "You're staring at my screen," I say on night 3. "I'm reading the data. You're staring at my screen, and you don't understand half of what you're seeing. I understand enough. You understand that someone is stealing from you. You don't understand how they're doing it. That's why you're here." I turn in my chair. He's close, closer than I realized. The blue glow from the monitors catches his pale eyes and turns them almost silver. "Why do you come here every night?" I ask. "Because this is my company, my responsibility. You have 47 security people for that. And none of them found the back door. That's not an answer." He's quiet for a moment. Then, "Because you're the only person in this building who isn't afraid of me, and it's been a very long time since someone wasn't afraid of me." I don't know what to do with that, so I turn back to my screen and pretend my heartbeat hasn't just doubled. But I think about it. That night, lying on the couch in the war room at 1 a.m. with Cypher on my chest, I think about the loneliest person I've ever met, being a man who has 3,000 employees and a corner office that overlooks the entire city. I think about the way he said, "It's been a very long time," like he was describing a wound, not a fact. I think about how he comes to the war room every night and sits in the chair by the window and reads reports he's already read. And I wonder if the reports are an excuse, and the real reason is that this room, with its blue light, and its humming servers, and its hacker in a hoodie, and its cat on the router, is the only place in his empire that feels alive. I fall asleep thinking about his eyes in the monitor glow. Silver. Almost silver. Cypher purrs on my chest. The servers hum. Somewhere on the 39th floor, a mole is stealing from a man who builds walls for a living, and never learned how to build a door. I'm going to find them. And then I'm going to... What? Leave? Go back to my apartment and my ramen and my freelance jobs, and pretend I never met a man who looks at me like I'm the most dangerous thing in his building? I push the thought away. Focus, Mila. Find the mole. Get paid. Get out. That's the plan. Plans are funny things. By week 2, I have a short list. 3 people with the access, the skills, and the opportunity to be the mole. Nathan Park, head of network infrastructure. He built half the systems I'm digging through. He'd know exactly where to hide a backdoor. Diana Reeves, VP of Client Relations. She has access to client data and a recently discovered offshore account that doesn't match her salary. And Marcus Webb, Adrian's co-founder. His best friend since college. The man who helped build Voss Industries from a dorm room project into a $4 billion empire. I don't tell Adrian about Marcus. Not yet. Because the evidence is circumstantial, and because I've seen what happens when you accuse someone's best friend of betrayal. It breaks something that can't be unbroken. Instead, I dig deeper. I pull Marcus's access history going back 3 years. I map his login locations, his device fingerprints, the times he badges in and out of the building. I build a behavioral profile so detailed I could predict what he'll have for lunch on a Tuesday. The pattern is damning. Every data exfiltration event correlates with Marcus being in the building. The credential rotation system uses code structures that match his programming style. His fingerprint, his signature, as unique as handwriting. He didn't just use the back door, he built it. But here's what keeps me up at night. The back door was planted during an infrastructure upgrade that Adrian personally approved. Marcus exploited his best friend's trust. He walked through a door that Adrian held open for him. That's not just theft. That's something worse. Adrian and I develop a rhythm. I work during the day, mapping networks, setting traps, analyzing access patterns. At night, he brings food to the war room, and we eat together while I explain what I've found in terms he pretends not to need translated. "You're dumbing it down for me," he says one night. Chopsticks paused over a container of pad thai. "I'm Contextualizing. You're dumbing it down. Okay, fine. You want the real version. The mole is using a polymorphic credential rotation system piggybacking on your LDAP authentication protocol, cycling through a dictionary of expired service accounts that your automated cleanup missed because they're flagged as system critical in a deprecated permissions table that hasn't been audited since 2019. He blinks. Go back to dumbing it down. I laugh. He stares at me like the sound is a foreign language he's trying to translate. What? I say. Nothing. You laugh easily. Life's too short not to. I wouldn't know. I don't think I've laughed easily in my entire life. That's the saddest thing anyone's ever said to me over pad thai. He almost smiles. Almost. You should do that more often, I say. Dumb things down. Smile. The almost smile vanishes. He sets down his chopsticks with the precision of a man who controls everything, including his own facial expressions. I'll take it under advisement, he says. But later, when he thinks I'm not looking, I catch it. A real one. Small, private, directed at Cypher, who is aggressively kneading his lap while he reads a report. It transforms his entire face. I'm in trouble. Week 3. Everything accelerates. I set a trap. A honeypot file disguised as a high-value client encryption key. If the mole takes the bait, I'll have their internal IP address, their access credentials, and their exact location in the building. While I wait for the trap to trigger, Adrian and I fall into a pattern that has nothing to do with work. He starts appearing in the war room at odd hours. Not for updates, just to be there. He brings his laptop and works on the couch while I work at my station, and we don't talk for hours. And it's the most comfortable silence I've ever shared with another human being. One night he falls asleep on the couch. I drape his overcoat over him, the same one he was wearing the morning he showed up at my door, and I stand there looking at him for longer than I should. Asleep. He looks different. The control is gone. The precision. His face is soft and tired and young, and I think about what Claire told me. That he hasn't taken a vacation in 4 years. That he sleeps in the office more nights than he sleeps at home. That the company is his whole life, because he's never had anything else to put his life into. I go back to my station. Cypher jumps from my chair to the couch and curls up against Adrian's chest. Adrian's hand, still asleep, finds the cat and rests there. I take a photo. For evidence. That's what I tell myself. The trap triggers at 11:47 p.m. on a Wednesday. I'm alone in the war room. The screens light up with alerts, data cascading in real time, and I trace the access point through 7 layers of obfuscation in under 4 minutes. The IP resolves to an office on the 39th floor. Marcus Webb's office. My hands are shaking when I call Adrian. He arrives in 12 minutes, which means he was already in the building. He's in jeans and a t-shirt, the first time I've seen him out of a suit. And he looks younger and more human, and it makes what I'm about to tell him so much worse. It's Marcus, I say. He doesn't react. He stands in the doorway of the war room, and he doesn't react at all, which is worse than anger, worse than denial. It's the stillness of a man who already knew, who has known, somewhere deep down, for months. Show me, he says. I show him. The access logs, the credential rotation, the honeypot trigger, the IP trace. Every piece of evidence laid out on the screens like an autopsy of his oldest friendship. He stares at the data for a long time. How long? He asks. Based on the access patterns. 11 months for the active leak. But the backdoor itself was planted 18 months ago, during the version 6 infrastructure upgrade. Marcus led that upgrade. I know. He presses both hands flat on the desk. His head drops between his shoulders. And for one raw, unguarded moment, I see the same thing I've seen in every billionaire I've gotten close to in this city. A man who built a kingdom and discovered that the walls were hollow. I'll compile the full evidence package tonight, I say. By morning you'll have everything you need for... Come with me. He walks out of the war room. I follow him, through empty corridors, past dark offices, up a private elevator to the roof. The city spreads below us, glittering and indifferent, and the October wind cuts through my hoodie like it's made of paper. He was my roommate freshman year, Adrian says. Marcus. He was the first person who understood what I was trying to build. Everyone else thought I was paranoid, obsessed with security, with threats, with protecting systems. Marcus said, "You're not paranoid. The world just hasn't caught up to how vulnerable it is yet." Adrian, we built the first prototype in our dorm. On a laptop with a cracked screen. We pulled all-nighters for 6 months, and ate nothing but ramen, and... He stops, laughs, but it's not a real laugh. Ramen, like you. I also eat cereal sometimes. He looks at me. The wind pushes his hair across his forehead. Without the suit, without the office, without the empire. He's just a man standing on a roof, realizing his best friend stabbed him in the back. "Why do you do that?" he asks. "Do what?" "Make me laugh when everything is falling apart. Because you look like you haven't laughed in a year, and someone should fix that. You fix things. That's what you do. I break into things. There's a difference. Not from where I'm standing. We're close. I don't know when that happened. When the distance between us collapsed from professional to personal, to something that feels like standing at the edge of a cliff. His hand finds mine in the dark. His fingers are cold. I hold on anyway. "This is a terrible idea," I say. "I know. You're my employer. Technically. And I'm investigating your best friend for corporate espionage. Also, technically. So we should definitely not." He kisses me. On a rooftop, in the wind, with the city blazing below us and his empire crumbling beneath our feet. He kisses me, and it's not careful. It's the kiss of a man who has been in control of everything for so long that letting go feels like falling. And he's falling. And I'm falling with him. I grab the front of his t-shirt. He makes a sound against my mouth. Surprise. Relief. Something I can't name. His hands frame my face like I'm something fragile, which is ironic because I just dismantled his entire world in a 4-minute trace. We break apart. He keeps his forehead against mine. Terrible idea, I repeat, but I'm smiling. "The worst," he agrees. "Let's keep doing it." The confrontation with Marcus happens on a Friday morning. I don't witness it. Adrian asks me to wait in the war room, and I respect that, because some betrayals are private, and the severing of a 20-year friendship deserves the dignity of a closed door. I hear it, though. Through the glass walls, muffled but unmistakable. Adrian's voice, low and controlled. Marcus's voice rising. The sound of a chair being pushed back. A long, terrible silence. When Adrian comes back to the war room, his face is blank. Completely, terrifyingly blank. "He said he did it for the money," Adrian says. $2.3 million over 18 months. He said the company had gotten too big, that I'd gotten too focused on growth and forgotten where we started. He said, Adrian's voice cracks, just barely. He said I was never the same after the IPO, that I became the thing we built this company to protect people from. That's not true, isn't it? I stand up from my chair. I walk over to him. I take his face in my hands, this face that the world thinks is carved from silicon and strategy, and I make him look at me. You hired me because you couldn't stand the idea of someone hurting the people who trust you. You built this company because you believe that systems should protect people, not exploit them. And when you found out your best friend was the one doing the exploiting, you didn't cover it up. You didn't look the other way. You called in the one person crazy enough to find the truth. A hacker in a hoodie. The best hacker in a hoodie. That smile. The real one. Small and broken and beautiful. I'm turning the evidence over to the authorities today, he says. Marcus will face charges. The clients who were affected will be notified. The stock price is going to crater. I know. My board is going to demand my resignation. Let them demand it. Then show them what you built and dare them to run it without you. He pulls me close, presses his face into my hair. He smells like coffee and stress and something underneath that's just him. Warm and real and scared and brave. Stay, he says. The 30 days are up tomorrow. Stay anyway. I was never planning to leave. Since when? Since you let my cat sit on your lap during a board prep meeting and didn't say a word. He laughs into my hair. A real laugh. The kind that shakes his shoulders and makes his chest vibrate against mine, and sounds like a door opening after years of being sealed shut. Cypher has terrible timing, he says. Cypher has perfect timing. He knew before either of us did. We stay in the war room. He sleeps on the couch, or tries to. I sleep in the chair. Cypher sleeps on both of us indiscriminately. In the morning, Claire finds us there and doesn't say a word, but she brings 2 coffees and a cat treat, and her expression is the closest thing to approval I've ever seen on her face. The evidence package is ready, I tell Adrian over coffee. Everything the authorities need. I know. It's going to be public. His name. What he did. All of it. I know. Are you ready? He looks at me. In the morning light, without the blue screen glow, his eyes are pale and tired and clear. No, he says, but I have someone in my corner now. That makes it different. You have a hacker in a hoodie in your corner. Same thing. The press conference is at 2 p.m. He stands in front of cameras in a suit that fits like armor, and he tells the truth. That his company was breached from inside, that he identified the source, that he's cooperating with authorities and compensating affected clients. I watch from the war room. Cypher is on my lap. Claire is beside me, arms crossed, jaw tight. He's going to get through this, I say. I know, Claire says, because of you. Because of Cypher, mostly. She doesn't laugh, but she doesn't disagree. The fallout is ugly, but survivable. Marcus is arrested. The affected clients are compensated. The board tries to push Adrian out. He pushes back with the evidence that he caught the leak. He fixed the system. He protected the company when no one else could. He keeps his job. He keeps his company. He loses his best friend and his blind faith in people. And some nights, I find him on the roof staring at the city like he's trying to remember why he built all of this. On those nights, I bring him coffee and sit beside him and say nothing, because sometimes the best thing you can offer someone is quiet company and the knowledge that they don't have to carry it alone. I stay at Voss Industries, not as a contractor, as head of security operations. Claire pretends to be annoyed by this. She buys Cypher a bed for my new office. It's designer. It costs more than my old apartment's rent. Cypher ignores it and sleeps on Claire's desk. 3 months after the fallout, the company stabilizes. Stock recovers. New clients sign on. More than before, because it turns out that a CEO who catches his own mole and goes public voluntarily is the best possible advertisement for a cybersecurity firm. The board stops trying to push him out. Claire starts smiling. Not often, but occasionally. Adrian changes too. Not the big things. He's still precise, still controlled, still the man who runs a $4 billion company with the focus of a surgeon. But the small things shift. He laughs more. He leaves the office before midnight. He lets me drag him to the terrible ramen place near my old apartment, where we sit on plastic stools and eat noodles, and he complains about the sodium content, and I tell him to shut up and enjoy it. He enjoys it. He enjoys everything, now that he's let himself. "You know what I was going to do?" he says one night. We're on the roof. Our roof. The one where he first kissed me, which I've started calling Mission Control, because it's where we go when the world gets loud. Before you found the mole, I was going to sell the company. What? I was going to walk away, let the board handle it, take the money and disappear and never trust another person with anything that mattered to me. And now? Now I have a cat sleeping on my servers, and a woman who broke into my life through a back door, and I don't want to disappear anymore. I lean into him. The city glitters below us. Cypher, who we've brought to the roof in his carrier because he screams if left alone for more than 20 minutes, mews indignantly from inside his little prison. "You were never going to disappear," I say. "You're too stubborn. I learned it from you. You learned it from Cypher." He laughs. I catch it. I'll always catch it. Epilogue. 14 months later he proposes in the war room. Because of course he does. It's midnight. I'm debugging a new firewall protocol. He walks in with 2 cups of terrible vending machine coffee and a ring box, and he says, "Mila Chen, you broke into my system, my company, and my life, and I've been completely, irreversibly compromised ever since. Marry me. Your proposal has a security metaphor. You love security metaphors. I really do. Is that a yes?" I look at him. This man who knocked on my door in a shitty hallway and changed everything. Who let my cat destroy his suits and didn't complain. Who kissed me on a roof while his world collapsed and chose me over his pride. "Yes," I say, "but I'm keeping my alias. Wouldn't dream of asking you to change it. And the proposal stays between us. If you tell anyone you proposed with a cybersecurity metaphor, I'll deny everything. Claire already knows. Claire knows everything. That doesn't count." He slides the ring onto my finger. It's not a diamond. It's a black sapphire, set in a band that looks like circuit traces. Custom made. Perfectly, absurdly us. "You designed this," I say. "I designed the concept. A jeweler executed it. I'm not good with my hands." "That's not true." He kisses me. Cypher knocks over a monitor. Claire, who has apparently been standing in the hallway the entire time, starts a slow clap that echoes through the empty floor. 6 months after the wedding, I'm sitting in our apartment. A real one now, with actual furniture and a kitchen that has food in it that isn't ramen, staring at a positive pregnancy test. Cypher is sitting on the bathroom counter, watching me with the calm, omniscient expression of a cat who has been waiting for this moment. Adrian walks in, sees the test, goes completely still. "Mila, we're going to need a bigger apartment." He picks me up. He actually picks me up and spins me around the bathroom, which is small enough that we nearly knock over the towel rack, and Cypher leaps off the counter with an offended yowl. We're going to need a bigger everything, he says against my neck. We should probably child-proof the servers. We should probably child-proof our entire lives, starting with the cat. Cypher has already left the room. He's sitting on the router in the living room, exactly where he was the night this all started. The night I followed a vulnerability chain into a stranger's system and found, on the other side of the firewall, the rest of my life. Some systems are built to keep people out, and some people are built to find a way in. I think about the girl I was a year ago, the one in the dark apartment with the ramen and the cat, and the 3 monitors, and the quiet, constant loneliness of being good at something no one understands. The girl who followed a vulnerability chain at 2:47 a.m. on a Tuesday because she couldn't resist pulling a thread. I pulled the thread. It unraveled everything. And what it revealed, underneath all the code and the firewalls and the corporate armor, was a man who built walls because he was afraid of what would happen if someone got through. I got through. And on the other side, I found the rest of my life. The end.